Hey everyone, this is Dr. Kiki, and I'm here again at the Portland Maker Faire. Somebody actually just came and volunteered to be interviewed. This is pretty awesome. So this is Tyler Weeks. He is a physicist turned recruiter.
Sort of. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But anyway, so tell me a bit about what you studied in physics.
So I did my PhD at University of California, Davis.
I did too!
No way! You're an Aggie!
I'm an
Sweet.
Aggie!
What? Right on. So then you will know what the Applied Science Department is.
Yes!
Because no one outside of Davis knows what that is.
But I know what it is.
Yeah, it's like an applied physics program. So it lives in the engineering school, but they do physics.
Right.
So
it's like the real world uses of physics as opposed to I don't know, theoretical wormhole type stuff.
Exactly. So my research was actually located at the medical center, UC Davis Medical Center.
Oh, okay.
And I worked at a place called the Center for Biophotonics.
That sounds super high tech and
futuristic.
futuristic.
It sounds super high tech.
Right?
It means bio as in like life sciences and photonics as in light. So I studied lasers and optics and microscopes, and I built these new microscopes to study things like cancer and stem cells and heart disease. So we worked a lot with medical doctors, and
that's really cool.
It was really cool. So it was like kind of this cool cross section between physics, like lasers and things, and you know, like humans.
Yeah. Well, as a biological sciences person myself,
oh, cool.
You know,
what department were you in?
I was in. Well, I did my PhD. It was NPB, neurobiology, physiology, and behavior.
Okay.
And then my PhD was in molecular, cellular, and integrative physiology.
Cool. So you were in Sacramento. You were at the medical.
No,
campus.
actually, I was in Davis.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
I was in Davis, but. You know, we used microscopes, but they were, you know, as they got more and more technical, it just turned into, for myself as the biologist using them, it was more and more of a black box. And it was like, okay, here's the instruction manual that tells me how to use it.
Yep.
But I don't know what's going on inside of there, really. I mean, I can pretend that I understand all the physics at work, but you're the person who understood the physics to make it work.
Yeah, so we would buy these really fancy microscopes from different companies. Then I would tear them all apart, and I would do all the things to them that you're never, ever supposed to do.
This voids the warranty. Do not cut tag off of mattress.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That sticker that you're never supposed to peel off, I would peel off that sticker, and I would make it do all sorts of crazy things it was never designed to do. And then we would have people come over that wanted to use those microscopes, and they'd bring over, you know, we had doctors that were studying fatty liver disease, so they'd bring over liver samples, or they'd be studying a condition called Barrett's esophagus, where, you know, you've had chronic inflammation or
asthma.
You've had problems with your esophagus, and we could look at that
not
tissue.
Asthma, that's long.
Indigestion.
Indigestion, there you go.
Or, you know, one of the cool things we were trying to do is actually look at stem cells that came from people's hearts and see if we could see differences between healthy hearts and diseased hearts. And we looked at cholesterol. So all kinds of cool, anything that anyone had that wanted to take a picture of, they'd bring it over and we'd nuke it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, pushing the forefront of optics is something that I think is really interesting, and especially, you know, there are places like Stanford Linear Accelerator, and you know, they've been doing interesting stuff with lasers and light, and being able to try and take these femtosecond resolution images of like movies of living cells. You know, slice by slice by slice.
Yeah, you know, one of the cool projects that, one of the cool microscopes that we had was there's a type of microscope called a confocal microscope that gives you extra high resolution. It's an optical microscope, so it uses visible light, and we had a special set of mirrors that let it take movies, which was kind of a new thing. No one else, not very many other groups had that. So we had a group that we collaborated with. This wasn't a project I was working on, just one of my lab mates worked on it, where they actually took movies and they were able to watch a cell that was infected by HIV come in contact with another cell and pass the virus cell to cell. And it was
Wow.
it was kind of a big deal that they were able to take a video of this, because no one had ever seen it happen before, and they got all sorts of, publicity for that, and recognition. But it was a pretty neat thing to kind of be a part of. I was there for all of that. So.
Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, all the things that we know are happening, or that people, think are happening, when you get visual proof of it, I mean, that's something. There's this whole, area. People are like, well, I haven't seen it, so how do I know it's true?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are imaging this cell-to-cell contact and transfer of virus particles, or they're seeing things, like the atomic structure, that we've guessed that an atom looks this particular way, but oh my gosh, we're being able to see the reflected light off of an atom and actually go, oh, our structural hypotheses were correct.
Yeah.
All the theory is right.
Yeah, totally. Well, and then there's the flip side of that, where when you're in a room with a bunch of scientists and they finally see that video, and half of them, you're all excited, but then immediately you're like, well, does this really mean what we think it means? Are we just assuming because the video looks like this that that's what's happening? And so what's exciting to me about being kind of part of science and kind of in an academic environment like that is immediately everybody starts throwing out ideas for the next experiment. Like nobody's done. You don't see the video and be like, well, let's go home.
Okay, we're all
it's like, wow,
washed.
that was great. What can we do next?
Yes.
And that kind of excitement is just contagious. I love being in that environment. So
yeah, that's cool. So you've moved from working at Davis and finished your degree, and
so I went from there, and I was about a year from graduating. If anyone's been to grad school, you'll know that there's this condition called ABD, which is all but dissertation.
I was that for a very long time.
Where when you talk to those people, they all say they're about a year from graduating for about 4 years. So I was about a year from graduating, and I realized I'd never actually had a job interview, because I'd always kind of been doing research, having internships and those kind of thing. And so I was looking for an opportunity to have a job interview that I didn't care about. And Intel came, and they were looking for people that wanted to work on semiconductors or microchips.
Cool.
And I thought, this is perfect. I study cells and lasers. They don't care about me. I don't care about them. I can totally just blow this interview, and it'll be great practice.
Let's do it.
And one thing led to another, and they offered me a job. So I had to sheepishly go back to my advisor and say, hey, I think I got a job. Can I graduate? And he let me put some papers together and dissertation. And
well, that's a good advisor.
He was great. He
not forcing you. No, you must stay the course, and you have to do 7 more papers.
In case you're hearing this, Thomas Huser, you were a fantastic advisor. This makes it to the scientific community,
right? It might.
It will.
You never
I'm sure
know.
It will. This is the moment.
This is the moment. Awesome. So you got a job, and that's what you've
been
doing.
I went to Intel, and I did the work I did for them was, are you familiar with Moore's Law?
Mm-hmm. It's the doubling time of technology, or the exponential rate of technological advancement.
Yes. So it's this pace that we've been on for the last 50 years, where we double the number of transistors on a microchip every about 2 years, 18 months, 2 years. So I went from Davis to working for the group at Intel that's responsible for Moore's Law. So it was really just a totally different world. All of a sudden I went from a hospital with a microscope to a giant factory with robots zipping around over the ceiling and picking up silicon wafers and taking them all over the place. And anything that I thought I knew, I realized I had no idea what was going on. And it was a great experience. I did that for about 5.5 years. Nice. So, yeah. So, I think that's one of the cool things about going in, getting a degree in the sciences, is that I think what you're really learning is how to problem solve. Mm-hmm. And that's really what makes you valuable to people, is the ability to look at a problem, break it down into sort of bite-sized chunks, and then attack each problem in a systematic way and thoughtfully get to a solution. And then the other half is sort of learning how to communicate that process to people. And that's my favorite part of of the whole thing. I loved, writing and
Nice.
talks and all that stuff.
Not
so.
all scientists do. So.
No. Most of us don't. We're mostly just staring at our own toes. Yeah, exactly.
Can I just go back to the lab? Why do you keep making me talk to people?
Where's the pipette?
Right. Get me that pipette man and I am happy.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So I think it's great that there are people like you who want to talk about what you're doing and get it out there. And in terms of your path and the things that you've learned, what kind of advice would you have for, people now, kids now who might be interested in physics or optics or semiconductors? And
what I would say is, I think what drove me on the path that I went on was I recognized at some point that I got a really excited feeling in my stomach whenever I solved a hard problem. And I followed that feeling. So I would follow the problems that got me excited. And sometimes sometimes you've worked on a problem for a few years and it's time to go work on a new problem.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's fun. And, I don't think it's as much as about, I heard some of this advice once. It's not as much about as following your passion as following your curiosity and sort of finding those things and learning to be curious and have wonder about what you're doing. And those are the best scientists I've seen. Not even necessarily the best PowerPoint presentations or animations or all that stuff. I heard a Nobel Prize winner speak, and he showed up with just transparencies and markers and gave the most amazing talk I've ever heard.
That's great.
And it was pure just, enthusiasm. I mean, he's been studying the topic for 30 years. And
he talked about it, and he's going to draw pictures and write things down.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, follow your curiosity and learn how to help people be excited about the problems you're excited about. If you can do those two things, you'll go really far. And you'll do some cool stuff, I think.
That's awesome. Have you seen things here at Maker Faire that are exciting you?
Yeah, Maker Faire is great. I have my kids here
Cool.
Because I want them to be curious about stuff.
Right.
So
I know my son is running around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Off. He said, I want to go play, Mommy. I said, go.
Go do it.
Do it.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm sure my kids will go home and and gather up all the toilet paper tubes and soap bottles.
I've got my toilet paper too.
Yeah, there you go, right on.
You guys, this is what I'm using it for. My toilet paper tube, I use it to coil my wires, and it's for my wire holding. All of cord management.
Cord management.
And I didn't even have to go to the Container Store.
Right on. It's perfect.
That's perfect.
I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much for volunteering and coming and talking to me. It's fascinating to meet you and a fellow Aggie.
Yeah, that's right. You got to love
awesome.
it. UC
Thank
Davis.
you. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Tyler.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. More podcasting to come. Stopping.